a good apartment parrot. Apartment parrot. That sounds funny. Hello, I am Kaylin. Welcome, Parrot Bliss. I am here with Hermione and Venus. And to tell you about what is a good apartment parrot, I'm going to tell you about a couple of things first. First I'm going to say, I think the most important thing is, I think cockatoos are some of the most beautiful parrots. They've got the crown, they're fair talkers, and they are charismatic. They are extremely social. So like if you have a lot of time, bonding with them is phenomenal. However, very generally speaking, they're very loud. They are like decibel, ear-breaking loud. So unfortunately, two things happen, especially with the bigger cockatoos. Males get rehomed because they get hormonal, and people don't know how to handle them well. And hormonal or not, cockatoos scream, so they get rehomed. It's kind of really sad. But you really, if you're thinking about getting a parrot, you really, really want to avoid a situation where you've got this bird that's biting you, you're bleeding. I mean, like, because that's what kind of bites they bite. And who's screaming your ears off, who's going, wah, wah. And they have a habit sometimes of kind of doing like this consistent, annoying sound. So it's not just like a songbird that's la la la. It's more like wah, wah. So you really want to avoid that. If you have a house, if you have a backyard, and you can put them in an outdoor aviary, you've kind of got it made, because then, you can either engage with them and bring them in the house, or you can let them be outside and make all the noise they want. And of course, then I understand that they don't tend to make as much noise. Why? Because now they're not trying to get attention because they know you're not there, right? But if you are in a small house or an apartment or like a townhouse, something where you're sharing walls and you don't get to put them outside, and you don't want to get in trouble because your neighbors are getting you evicted because you've got this screaming bird, then you really want to make sure that you're not miserable, your neighbors aren't miserable, your hands aren't bleeding, or something else. I mean, I've heard of people having their tongues cut, their faces cut. I mean, I've heard horror stories. So we don't want that. So what is a good apartment parrot? Well, to explain that, I'm going to tell you that with 350 to 402 or so citizen species, that's parrot species, depending on who you ask and how they're classified, there are a lot of different parrot choices. Now, those 350 can get broken into the families, and there aren't as many families, and I've never quite been able to put my finger on how many families there are, but I'm going to say I think there's at least 10. Somebody wants my attention here. So if we look at the families, one of the best families, if you are in like a townhouse or a small apartment, is the African family. And so I've got Venus. Is she? I don't know if you can see her well or not, or if she's hiding behind me. I don't know if she's camera shy. I've got Venus and I've got Hermione too. Venus is an African gray, a Congo African gray, who came to us plucked. That's how we adopted her as an adult. And once an African gray is plucked for about a month or so, experts like Tony Silva say, it's really, really almost impossible to reverse. Very hard. And then we've got Hermione, who is a Senegal, also in the African family. That's to say that they are somewhat related, and they both come from the African continent. Lovebirds, believe it or not, also come from the African continent. And I say it like that because, Myers parrots and, of course, Timna African grays are also Africans. But generally speaking, it's interesting. The African family, I find to have sedated colors, white, gray, beautiful red. And she has yellow. But in other words, like the lovebirds, they're like, they might not come in purple, although I bet someone's bred them for purple. But like they come in a rainbow of colors. They're very colorful. So generally speaking, though, Africans their colors seem a little more sedated. But subdued, I'll go with subdued. So they tend to, for whatever reason, be a lot quieter. And you have to excuse my baby food here. That's baby parrot food. And I see I have a baby parrot bite. Man, with parrots, your clothes pay for it. But Africans tend to be pretty darn quiet, the African family. They do screech, like, oh, did you hear that? That's Harry. He just screeched. But you can tell, it's not like, did you hear that again? But it's not like an alarm where the fire department's going to come because the alarms went off kind of thing. So, if you're in an apartment, this is one of the families I strongly recommend. Senegals just seem, actually the whole African family, they're kind of very chilled. They don't freak out. I really like cockatoos, and I'm totally going to stereotype and say they're kind of freak out birds. Like they're high maintenance, high energy, and so they're always like this. Whereas these guys, they're kind of like always just really easygoing, which means they're easy to get along with. They're easy to connect with. These guys, of course, are up there with apes when it comes to intelligence. I bet I could argue whether or not they're more intelligent, and since I like them, I would, of course, argue for these guys because they can speak English, you know, they can talk. They can be trilingual. But they're just, it makes them very easy to have, especially like if you're in a small place like an apartment. So, great apartment pets. Now, Venus is like a one parrot bird, and her person is my husband. So she's doing really good because she's hanging out with me, and she's a little nervous. You could see her, oh, nice wings. You know, you can see her shaking a little bit. And when I look at her, it's like, what are you going to do? I'm not going to do anything. And we have been forging a little bit of a relationship, and I've actually been petting her beak a little bit lately. Whereas Hermione she just wants pets, and she's very sweet, very amiable, just very, very likable. So I would say African family would be one of the #1 places I would look if I was in a small space or if I didn't like a lot of loud noise. The next one that I'm going to strongly recommend is a Pyonis parrot. I have to tell you, that's on my bucket list. I would love to have a Pyonis parrot. They are supposed to be, you know, they're not from the African continent. They're actually from Latin America. But their reputation is just like these guys. Mellow, friendly, sweet, and not very loud. And they're beautiful. They just are very striking. And Pyonis parrots, there's at least 2 or 3 species here in the U.S. you could get. So that gives you several. Now, of course, that's if you want sort of like a medium or large size parrot. For the small guys, of course, there's always the budgies, or people call them parakeets. Parakeet in English means long tail, a parrot with long tail. So that's not like really specific. So it's really a budgerigar, I think is the correct pronunciation. I'm not going to recommend Cockatiels because they're really great and they're great apartment parrots, but they also screech, like they hurt my ears. So I think a lot of people would recommend them. I'm not going to for that reason. The lovebirds, parrots. We have parrots. They can get a little chitty, but they're not super loud. And we have like more than 10. So, you know, if you get a lot of any species, I think your noise level is going to go up. But, you know, so little guys are going to be really easy too. And of course, there's always something like the green-cheeked conure. And if we pan back there, you can see 3 green-cheeked conures. You might recognize Gale back there, who I bring in some of my videos because I'm working on taming him. And he's with Duke and Duchess. Green-cheeked conures, unlike the rest of the conure family, oh, that was a sweet little whistle. The green-cheeked conures, they are not like super loud. They can sound the alarm. When we first adopted Duke, we couldn't believe how loud he was. But he's really mellowed out. Okay, that's a really good example. Really good example. That would have freaked out most any bird. So, Cammy decided to join us. Hi, Cammy. We gave her a little clip on her wings, but you could see she could still fly. Hi, sweetie. I know you want pets. Is it Cammy time? Is it Cammy time? She says, I'm a baby and I want my cuddles. Want my pets and my cuddles. But, so she totally flying over here. These two guys, they flinched and then they kind of got ready to fly, but they didn't fly. This is what I mean. They are mellow. They are great apartment pets, especially if you want a big guy like an African. African greys, there's two reasons people love them, and two reasons why they are probably, next to budgies, I would say they're probably one of the most popular. I mean, you have budgies, cockatiels, green cheek conures, and African greys. And I don't know exactly what the selling order is, but African greys, they talk, and they are the only citizen species that can mimic sounds to the point to where you can't tell that it's a bird and not a family member kind of thing. And their personality, they're so mellow. So, there you have, from what I know, the best of the best. Again, there are 350 to 400 species. I don't have experience with all of them firsthand, only like 15, 16, 17 species. But it gives you a really good idea because, I have experienced a lot of the families that you're going to find either from a breeder or a pet store, that kind of thing. So, fantastic birds. I mean, they're just, look at this. Do you see how mellow and quiet they're being? They're just fantastic. If I had a cockatoo in the video, you'd probably only hear screaming. But if I ever had a ton of space and I had a really nice big outdoor aviary, I would adopt a couple of cockatoos. Either sulfur crested or Goffin or umbrella or I don't know how to pronounce this exactly right. The Mulligan. I've heard it pronounced differently, but anyway, I think they're just phenomenal. Just not in a small apartment. All right, thank you for joining us. Happy Friday night. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday night. We are enjoying our lockdown with a bird party because you're not allowed to have a gathering with a lot of people, but they didn't say anything about citizens. So, thanks for joining us. And little update, I've been working on the cover for my book. We are almost published. Very, very excited. See, she's celebrating. She's getting ready to feed me. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.